So if you've been playing Tarkov for a little bit, you've heard the term ergo or ergonomics, and you've heard the term vertical recoil or horizontal recoil. Today we're going to be talking about why you would want higher ergo over lower vertical recoil, what you would use in what situation on what gun, and I'm going to show you what they actually look like to have high versions and low versions of those numbers. If you have been looking for a video talking about that, you're at the right place. Let's talk about it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Explained Hideout. My name is Ghost. If you guys have never been here before, I'm super excited you guys are here. Welcome back to another Tarkov video, guys. We've been putting out a lot of Tarkov videos lately, so if you guys want to see more Tarkov content and you end up liking the video, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a video. Today we're going to be talking about ergo or ergonomics versus recoil, and you're going to notice when I talk about recoil, I'm mainly only going to talk about vertical recoil, and I'll explain why later. I wanted to make a video about this because I get probably this question the most when new players are wondering what the heck people are talking about, why their guns should have higher ergo, why their guns should have lower recoil, can they have both, what guns to put what stats on. So when you're building a gun in Tarkov, it could be very, very complex, especially as a beginner player. So I wanted to make sure that I got a guide to cover you guys. Really quickly, before we get into the video, I just want you guys to know that I do actually stream on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at 5 p.m. PST. I'd love to have you guys by the stream, whether you guys want to talk about this stuff live or maybe get into some raids. Either way, we usually have a great time. But now, let's get into the video. All right, guys, welcome back to another Tarkov video. I hope you guys learned something today. Let's just jump right into it. So what I did is I set up a somewhat standard version of the M4 and a meta M4, which is like what everybody's running. That's what they consider meta. And that is going to consist of a high ergo and a low recoil. And then we have a pretty much stock. Now, mind you, there is some parts on here that have boosted the stats a little bit, but it's the cheapest one that I seen on the flea market. So I went ahead and purchased it. And then that way I can compare for you guys. So I'm not really going to get into the exact build of the weapons on this video. I am going to start doing some gun builds because you guys have messaged me. I hear you guys. I got you. I got some builds in the works already. So we'll get into what specific parts do specific things. But I kind of want to go over the generalization of how you get high ergo, low ergo, and why you would want it, and then also for recoil. Now, like I said before, I'm only going to be talking pretty much about vertical recoil, and mainly that is due because horizontal recoil in this game isn't as tragic as vertical recoil. And what I mean by that is, so recoil in general means that whenever you pick up your firearm, whenever you go to shoot, the way that your gun moves when you're shooting it. So horizontal is going to be moving this way, and then vertical is going to be going up and down, mainly up though. And then every single time you fire the weapon again, it's going to go up from that point. That's why automatic weapons, it's very, very important to have a low vertical recoil, because that gun is just going to keep bump. It's going to keep moving up if you don't do anything about it until it gets to a certain point. So like, for instance, this gun has 215 horizontal recoil, but I don't really feel that 215. It seems like such a big number. It seems like it's just going to be all over the place, but I don't really feel like I'm fighting it as much as I do the vertical recoil. And that's the number that a lot of people use. They want to know what the ergonomics and the vertical recoil are, so those numbers we're going to go over. Ergonomics is how fast you can ADS, so how quickly you can snap to aiming down sights with your firearm to engage the enemy. Now, that is a very, very important thing, especially if you are doing like CQB, so close quarter combat, whether you're inside of a building. I run dorms a lot, so for me, high ergo is very important. I use it often, especially because when you're running, if you're running and you have to pick up your weapon, it's going to be slower coming out of a sprint than it would be just standing still. So the higher the ergo, the quicker you're going to be able to snap to somebody that you see, and it could cost you a fight. There is times where I have not been able to draw my weapon in time when someone else has maybe been standing still in an area, or sitting waiting for me, or different circumstances happen where that higher ergo might have actually saved my life. The second thing that high ergo does, or ergonomics in general in this game, is determines the volume at which you ADS. Now, I want to talk about this for a second because I don't really hear it talked about that often, especially when people are comparing ergonomics in this game to vertical recoil. Now, in Escape from Tarkov, sound is everything. There are so many sounds that you need to know and that will tell you what somebody is doing and when they're doing it. Now, in this game, like I said, I play dorms a lot. I am actually able to hear somebody with low ergonomics, ADS, upstairs when I'm downstairs. That means a floor above me, I can hear them raising their firearm. That's a problem, and that lets me know if they're holding a line of sight, and when they drop their gun, if I can rush in on them, or if they've been holding a line of sight for a long time, wasting stamina. That means when I push them, they're not going to be able to rush out of their area. So there's a lot of things that it tells me just by hearing somebody ADS. It could also tell me what room they're in. If I'm in a hallway and I hear somebody ADS and I know it's not one of my teammates, I know that they could be in a room to the right of me, they could be in the room to the left of me, and it can change the whole gunfight. So having low volume can be especially important when you're in a quiet area in the midst of the enemy and you're trying to figure out where everybody is before the firefight happens. It could also be very important as a sniper. If you have a DMR or a bolt action rifle or anything that you're using to snipe with, well, you want to be as quiet as possible. Maybe you're laying prone in a bush and all of a sudden you go to ADS and it's super loud and somebody's by you. They can actually hear you ADS and actually could get a kill and sneak up on you without you even knowing that they heard you. That is ergonomics. Third thing that ergonomics does, it has to do with your stamina longevity. So how quickly you relinquish stamina when you are ADSing your weapon. So every single time that you pick up your firearm, you are going to use stamina. That is ergonomics. If you have high ergonomics, it's going to use less stamina, even to the point of actually, if you are still in ADSing, I believe you will actually still gain the stamina back. Like if you are walking versus running and you see that your stamina bar starts to increase. That if you have very high ergo, you can actually be ADSing, looking around for somebody and gain a little bit of stamina, which is pretty crazy. That's game changing by itself, because it means you don't really have to worry about your stamina getting low if you were to get rushed by someone or be surprised by someone or any of that stuff, which happens in Tarkov very often. There are so many times where you get surprised by somebody you didn't expect to see. So having a high ergo could be very important. And then vertical recoil is very simple. All it is how much you're going to pull down on your mouse when you're in a gunfight. So that is going to be how much the gun bucks up vertically when you are holding down the trigger, which is really going to affect automatic weapons more. So very quickly, I want to get into why you would use ergo over vertical recoil, or the opposite, why you would want one higher if you have to choose between high ergo and low vertical recoil. So I don't want to tell you how to kit your guns. People are going to do different things depending on their playstyle, but I will say, as a general perspective, if you are using something that is in semi-auto, whether it's a DMR, designated marksman rifle, if you're using something else to snipe with, or if you're using even something like an ADAR and you know that you're going to be using it in semi-auto, I would focus on high ergo over low recoil. That's not to say if you can't achieve both, do it. But if you have to choose one or the other, I would go high ergo, for the simple reason that vertical recoil being low is going to be more effective on an automatic weapon. So that's what I would be focusing on. If you're running like an AKM automatic, try to get that vertical recoil low. If you're running like one of these M4, like this one right here. And so that's why I wanted to show the difference between these two. So before we go into the range, I'm going to show you guys right here the numbers. So we have the ergonomics on this stock M4, essentially stock, right? Stock M4 at 53, and then on the meta M4 we have it at 80. I actually could get this higher, but I'm leaving it at 80. That's what I'm using it at right now. And then we have the vertical recoil at 78, and then on the meta M4 we have the vertical recoil at 34. Now this is very low. I'm pretty sure the lowest you can actually get it is 32. I don't know, I would have to really look at how I can make this 32, but you can. And I'm pretty sure the highest suppressed should be 38 or 40. And so if you're running solo, you might want to run something suppressed. So I have this one in here. Where is it? And this one is suppressed. And this one is still let's see, 43. So I could get this a little bit lower suppressed, but essentially you want to get it as low as possible, especially if you're going to be using it automatic. And these are big differences in numbers. And in the firing range, you guys are going to see that big difference play out. So one other thing that I want to note is you can actually see the kilograms of how much the weapons weigh. This weight is going to determine a difference in the ergonomics as well. I usually run 60 round mags. And so for instance, if I run a 60 round mag versus a 30 round mag, it's going to make a difference in my weight, therefore affecting my ergonomics. So keep that in mind as well, that attachments that you put on the weapon are going to add to the weight of the weapon, and that's going to overall affect the stats as well. So very quickly, before we jump into the hideout to show you guys these, I wanted to talk about these parts because I know many of you are probably looking at these parts if you're new to Tarkov and wondering what the heck these parts mean, why are they placed where they're placed. And I told you about the numbers of 72 and 34 for ergonomics and recoil, but I didn't really tell you how to get those numbers or change those numbers. And so every single part that you have is going to have stats on it if you double click it. So we have this pistol grip that is very good for ergonomics, and it says right here plus 18 ergonomics. So when I apply this versus something else with a different stat, it's going to change my ergonomics. The same thing with this buffer tube, which says ergonomics is +1, recoil is down 4%, and then I'm going to double click on the stock, which is on the buffer tube, and that is -35% recoil and +7 ergonomics. And then this is going to be the rubber that goes on the end of the stock, and this is adding another -3% recoil and +1 ergonomics, and that's going to be with every single part that you click on. There's going to be different stats. So definitely keep that in mind when you're looking at this stuff. Here we have the jailbreak for that goes on the end. This is going to add -7% recoil. It's going to add 3% velocity or accuracy, I'm sorry, and then a -1 ergo. So there is negative effects as well, and you're going to trade. We have a compensator, and it goes so forth. That's pretty much how you're going to determine by trying different parts and looking at different parts how you can make better builds. And some of these in-slot items are going to be way more expensive than other items, and that's where you get your budget builds and your like pristine builds. So that was in gear. And then the last thing I want to talk about is skills, because skills also play a part in your numbers. So if we go down in our skills to assault rifles, which is what we are looking at, you see that as my assault rifle level increases, it says reload speed is increased, weapon switching speed, and then also weapon recoil is +3%. Then we're going to go down to recoil control. This is going to improve recoil control by 8%, depending on my level of recoil control. And then there's a brand new skill that was just added, and that one is called aim drills. And aim drills is going to increase your aiming speed and will allow you to perform aiming quieter. So there is definitely different skills that you can level up that are going to add to your total stat numbers. So now let's get into the hideout and see some of this stuff in real life. So something to also notice about Tarkov versus maybe some other games is when you begin to shoot, if you commit, you're actually going to go up vertically and then settle down a little bit lower than that and it be consistent. And you're going to see that right here. I'm not going to pull down at all when I'm testing out these guns. I'm literally just going to click and hold down my mouse 1 just so you guys can see the difference without me doing anything. And then you can see how easily you would be able to manipulate this and have recoil control in the midst of using one of these weapons. So this is our base M4. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to aim at the thorax for both of these, and then I'm just going to shoot. So as you can see on this weapon, I aimed for the thorax and shot, and most of my spread landed right around here somewhere, right? So that's a good difference right there. And this is still, you could have worse vertical recoil, but that's a pretty big difference. Now let's switch to the meta M4, the super kitted one, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna aim right here at the thorax and we're gonna shoot. So look at this difference. This is where my spread landed. Not only is the grouping very, very tight, but look at the difference from here to here. And then my other one, I started here and it ended up here, and the grouping is very, very loose. So this is a huge difference between these two. Now I can do the same thing. to do the same thing when I do it a little bit further, right? So we're gonna go right here. Oops, it's not an auto. Right here. Look at how much that kicks up. That kicks up a lot. I missed a lot of that head right there. All right, then we're gonna go with this one. Most of it actually hit the target. So it's a big difference. Now, that is for the vertical recoil. Now let's look at ergo for a second. So we're gonna grab the gun. This is ADSing, which, like I said, this ergo isn't terrible. This was at 56. Now let's look at the meta. Look at how quick that snaps though. So that's about 30 difference, and the snap is, actually it's like 25 difference, and the snap is noticeably different. See how it's like gradually going into the ADS? Well, guys, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I wanted to keep this video as short as possible, straight to the point, cut and dry. That way, if you guys were wondering about this, you can quickly figure out what these numbers mean. I am going to be doing guides on guns, so if you guys have specific guns that you want me to build, whether it's budget, whether it's really nice guns, intermediate, let me know down in the comments below, and also let me know if you feel like I missed anything, if you've been playing the game for a while and you feel like I could have explained it a little bit better. I would love to hear you guys' feedback. I read every single comment, and I will definitely be responding to you guys. If this video brought you guys any value and you feel like you learned something from it, go ahead and smash the like button. It does work very well for YouTube's algorithm, putting my videos up higher and helping more people see this guide. So if it helped you out, you guys can do that to help me out. And also, of course, if you guys want to see more content like this, more Tarkov videos, guides, definitely subscribe to the channel so that you guys don't miss a video. And lastly, guys, I would love to see you by the stream sometime. I hope you guys are very blessed. I hope you have an amazing day or night, depending on where you're at in the world. I hope your raids are plentiful, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace. Okay, dude. I thought you went to shed. You scared the heck out of me right now, bro. My heart literally like went to my stomach, bro. I almost shot.